Well, that was an unfortunate timing. Right after the French guillotine was brought up. But alas, once again, Arcane 2 got a new teaser, and once again, they are getting clever with it. Because as you'll see, Riot is purposefully releasing trailers that link together, so that they don't spoil parts of storyline from the entire series. And still, given the context of what was shown, people are already having fun with crazy theories. Not to mention, Fortiche are still a bunch of madmen when it comes to paying attention to details. So without further ado, let's break down the newest teaser for Arcane 2. Now, before we go into the shot by shot, I really wanna focus on the big question, which is also the question that appeared in by far the most theories. And that is, what's in the bag? Ignoring all the surrounding details for now, I have to say it is quite difficult to put something together here. Although we can still make somewhat of an educated guess. Based on the sounds alone, you won't really be able to make anything out. If you hear something more techy, it could be the gun on Jinx's hip. And if you hear anything flashy, well, that could be just Jinx limping along. And the reason why I'm saying flashy is because some of the more morbid viewers thought, what if she was carrying Silco? Well, the funny thing about that is that if you go to the beginning of the teaser, you can see that she was standing in front of a dumpster. The implications there would be quite disrespectful. Not to mention that later, when she gets smacked, that bag also flies into the air. So instead, here's what I think it could be. See here, she might be carrying fish bones, the gun which she used to destroy the council. And I'm only really saying this because I can't think of anything else that would fit this silhouette. Coincidentally, the setting around her would fit this too. At the beginning, you can see Jinx frustrated. She then turns and leaves the dumpster behind her. There are two possible things that might be happening here. Either she was running in one direction and then she made up her mind, turned around and started running the other direction. Maybe there was an obstacle or something like that. Or she opened the dumpster because she wanted to throw fish bones into it, because she wanted to get rid of it. Maybe it was full or something and then she kept running. Now, why would Jinx want to get rid of fish bones, you might ask? Well, the entire city is looking for whatever caused the massive explosion. So on one side, she is carrying a weapon with criminal connection, but on top of that, remember that fish bones is powered up by a hextech gem. Which means, as long as she has that weapon, she also has a lot of eyes on her. And that could explain not only what she's carrying in the bag, but also, if it is fish bones, why she would try to get rid of it. Now, how confident I am about all of this? Like 30%. Maybe. Truth be told, the silhouette is still quite far from a Sharky rocket launcher. Not to mention, it seems to be smaller. So in reality, who knows? It is also extremely likely that this is some kind of a gift from Jinx to Vi, or from Caitlyn to Vi. And Jinx just took it. And that's because the ribbon on the package is purplish pink. And funnily enough, that is the color that is used for both Jinx and Caitlyn. Not to mention sometimes also Vi, just because of her hair. So regardless of what's in the bag, I'm curious now. Anyway, we can see Jinx running away with it. After which the shot reveals some Zonaite Baron henchmen. Now after this guy later takes off his glasses, I could swear I have seen him somewhere in Arcane 1, and I have honestly tried for a while to track him down, but I can't really find him anywhere. Maybe it is just my mind playing tricks of me because of the uniform Fortiche style, but he does seem familiar to me. Anyway, we can see him biting off some squid snacks, after which he goes straight for Jinx. Now, the thing is, in Season 1 we learned that Fortiche is all about paying attention to details. So within the full context of the episode, I really wouldn't be surprised if this squid had some kind of hidden meaning. This happened a lot in the first season. Mainly, it's because the shot very carefully shows it as it's falling down to the ground, and right before it lands, Jinx gets punched down too. so it could be some kind of parallel to Jinx. What made me curious though is that the tentacle is purple, which could link to Shimmer. And it has the sauce on it, which kinda looks like blood. So potentially, this could represent a severed limb. Which made me wonder. Well, I'm pretty sure this is not a spoiler. We know that Warwick is gonna be in Season 2. And we know that his limbs are not exactly what they used to be. So what if this is a connection to What's in the Bag 2? I don't know, that's just a thought I had. Anyway, then, as the goon swings at Jinx, I love how for a single frame you can see Jinx outlined by the green of the Chemtech, which gets later underlined by the smear of green from the augment. It's kinda interesting that there is now a bit of a civil war in Zaun. Now it is about the purple of Shimmer against the green of Chemtech, which you can see represented here. And again, after this shot, it goes back to the tentacle, which is just about to hit the ground, and then it cuts back to Jinx to finish the shot. I don't know what's the connection here, but it really seems to have some kind of a hidden meaning. I mean, it will be obvious once the full episode comes out. Now, what's a really cool detail here is that after the goon punches Jinx, you can see that he spent a bit of his Chemtech power from the augment. It seems to work almost like a battery. And while the shot is focused on Jinx on the ground, you can see the blurry goon in the background change his Chemtech battery in his arm. He reaches into his pocket and slams in a new one. After that, the arm starts to glow again. And while that's happening, listen to the sounds. You have the clinging of the metal arm, which gets interrupted by the bubbly, almost fleshy sound, which pops up when Jinx's eyes go purple and they go into focus, reminding us that this entire story is about flesh against the machines. Man, I really missed these Fortige details. So, Jinx then tries to pull out Zappy, which is her handgun, but it gets smacked away as the second goon comes in. This means that the second goon came from where Jinx was running at the beginning of the teaser. So maybe she didn't change her mind or anything like that at the very beginning. She was just running from the second goon. But then Jinx is picked up and slammed against the wall, which is where some genius lines come into play. We can see Smeech, the Zonite Baron who was previously part of Silco's meetings, who also seems to be an augmented Yordle. And he calls Jinx Baby Blue, obviously in reference to her hair. And that is likely what they called her when she was younger. And also, as a funny detail, because he has this comically tall hat, you might notice his own goons have it too. But then, when Smeech comes down the pipe, a bit of a purple smoke comes out of him. Not only is this a reminder that he is also altered by Shimmer a little bit, but it is also a reminder of his lasting loyalty to Silco. Although that loyalty might have been forced. Now interestingly, here he is almost congratulating Jinx on slipping through someone's fingers. Which means that Jinx was really running away from someone with that bag. And if it really happens to be Fishbones here, then she might have been really escaping the wardens. And when Smeech gets closer and the goons press Jinx against the wall, you can see her eyes go dark and the purple goes away, which indicates her powerlessness in this situation. Now, Smeech then said that they want Jinx alive. But without context, this really could be anyone. It could be the Wardens, and it could be the other Barons. And as he says it, he extends his finger towards Jinx's eye. This is genius, because in a way, it is referencing how Jinx always jammed Shimmer into Silco's eye. And that's why Jinx's eye goes purple here too. It is an incredible subtle detail. But then, by far the best line comes in. Smeech says he never thought he would catch Jinx blubbering, and he wonders if Silco saw that too. By which, we can assume he is referencing the blubbering. He could be also referencing something else like what's in the bag, but without the context of the episode, we won't know. And Jinx confirms that Silco saw her blubbering, twice. Now, first of all, when she says that, she gets closer to the needle. And Smeech is forced to retreat a little bit, because otherwise he would actually poke her eye. So it's cool to see that even Smeech doesn't want to cross the line. Anyway, after Jinx mentioned twice, she says that the first time it was when Silco found her, which is the scene that is definitely very memorable to all of us. And yes, Jinx was definitely blubbering in that scene. And the second time was when she killed him, which is a scene that was definitely very memorable to all of us. And yes, Jinx was very much blabbering after she realized what happened. Now, morbid jokes aside, this also outlines Jinx's entire story. She was blubbering at the beginning when the tragedy happened, then Silco took her and he almost gave her a second chance at life. In a way, he fixed her, but in the end she returned to her state of a wreck. So that's the poetry of this line. Again, it is hiding a lot of meaning. And that's not to mention that she is using the murdering of Silco to intimidate Smeech, even though all of this is causing some serious trauma for Jinx. Now, of course, Smeech could still be loyal to Silco, again indicated by the shimmer in his own eyes, and so he actually gets shocked when Jinx mentioned that she killed Silco. After which, he backs away and the goons go in for a punch. But right before the hit, the goon's head gets shot off. And after a brief pause, it was revealed that it was shot off by Sevika. Then Smeech gets angry, his arm turns into something that resembles a propeller, and he is seemingly using it as a shield. And then we get a zoom in on Sevika and it is revealed that she shot off the head with Jinx's gun. The one that was previously smacked from her hand. Which is where the trailer ends, and that is where we can talk about all the cool connections. First of all, yes, this is teasing that Sevika and Jinx are on the same side. This would make sense because they were both on Silco's side. Though on the other side, Sevika and Jinx had quite a few clashes in the past, with some of the clashes going quite far. So right now, who knows what are Sevika's motivations? Now, the really cool thing about this teaser is that it showed us something really cool without really revealing anything. And that's because this entire scene is part of the previous teaser. The one that only had a few seconds and it had cuts from different scenes. There we could see Smeech leap at Sevika, and Sevika retaliated by using her augmented arm, which was now fixed. But which also seemed to be fixed by Jinx. Or at the very least, Jinx is the one who decorated it. And also, looking back, this teaser finally gave us some context as to why Sevika had Jinx's gun. Now we know she simply picked it up off of the street. And she used it to help Jinx, although help might not be the correct word to use here. Because remember, whoever is looking for Jinx, they want her alive. And so maybe Sevika is here to collect the bounty. It wouldn't be the first time Fortiche would break someone's expectations. But that's pretty much it for the trailer. If anything, all of this hyped me up for going through all the details when the entire series comes out. I had an absolute blast doing it with the first season, and of course we are doing it again. Now lastly, there is one more thing I wanted to go through, and that is the special Q&A by Christian Link, the showrunner of Arcane, which they did for the Chinese audience. This is simply because there was an anime festival in Shanghai, and so this was their way to appreciate them. Now in this interview, we don't learn much because it would be dumb to spoil things now. So in general, the questions are something like, what are their thoughts on Jinx? Will we see more of Noxus in Season 2? You know, things that kinda have obvious answers. But funnily enough, remember the outrage from when the first trailer was revealed? The one where Vi was shown in her warden uniform? And people freaked out that Vi was a betrayer? Well, that question popped up here too.
In the trailer, Vi joined the Piltover Enforcer Squad. Has she completely turned against Jinx?
Unfortunately, we just got a quick summary of Vi's story and how things are complicated. It would have been really funny if he directly mentioned the outrage with a joke. But oh well, there was also a question about the Rune Wars and how they are related to Hextech. And of course, Heimerdinger's PTSD was mentioned. So now, I'm really curious to see how the T-Hex gets made.